So just a little bit of housekeeping. So we do just ask that, if possible, if you could keep your camera and microphone off during the presentation. And we do encourage you to have the chat open. Post questions as soon as you think of them. And if you can also, you'll be able to also see the other questions that are being asked. If you've got a similar question to that, just pop a like on there, and then the guys in the chat can try and get that one prioritised for you. And also, just to let you know that any data that you do see during the presentation, it has just been included in there for demonstration purposes only. There's no real data that's been included in the presentation today. Like I said, the call is being recorded and it will be made available on our YouTube channel. After the call, I will send out a follow-up email, which will include the link for the YouTube video, and I will also provide you an opportunity to provide feedback on the session. Now, we are looking at hosting quite a few webinars based on how today goes. So in the feedback, please do include something that, you know, if you want anything included on the next sessions, then please let us know. We are doing something a little bit differently to what we normally do in our webinars. So we are going to be holding a live poll. So there will be a couple of those coming through. So keep an eye out for those. It is just so we can get a little bit of understanding on how you think the session's going. Are you learning anything? Have you learned something new? And also at the end, we're going to ask you if there's anything that you would like including in one of the next sessions. Okay, so what are we going to run through today? So the main reason why we're hosting this webinar is because we recently did some pilots with some individual ICBs, and the feedback that we got was that they just wanted a basic overview of the process. So we are going to give a high-level overview of the formalist process, so what it looks like for the customer and the customer journey, and that includes your responsibility at the ICB. We're also going to run through user management in PCSE Online. So it is basic stuff. So it's how to create a user, how to edit users, and how to deactivate. And then we're going to quickly run through how you will see your approvals for the performance processes in PCSE Online. And then I'm going to hand over to Vanessa, that's going to run through some of the work that we're doing at the moment on the performance management queues. And then at the end, we're going to host a quick Q&A. But like I say as well, please do keep an eye out for the live polls that we're going to be running through. If you can answer those, that would be great. Okay, so I'll just run through some quick introductions. So I've got myself, Debbie Roberts from the communications team, and I've also got Kat supporting me with the live Q&A. We've got Sharon Nicholson from Performer Services and Vanessa Morrison, who's our business analyst. And we've also got Maria Lunat and Julie McLaughlin that work on the Performer List team. Okay, so we've got the first live poll for you. So before we do actually run through the user management aspects in PCSE Online, we just want to gather your thoughts on that now. You know, how well do you think you understand it? Is it something that you know well? Is it something that you're not sure of? So Kat is going to pop that in the chat for you now. So if you just want to give us an answer, that would be great. I'll leave you to answer that while we move on with the presentation anyway. So first up, we are going to run through the customer journey. So we've included this chart for you, just so you can try and see what happens when a customer applies to manage their performance entry through PCSE Online. And I am going to hand over to Maria, that's going to run through this with you. Are you online, Maria?
I am, yes.
Morning.
Morning.
I'll hand over to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Debbie. Good morning, everybody. My name's Maria, and I'm the Performers List subject matter expert. I'm going to explain the process that takes place when a GP updates their status on PCSE Online. Once a performer logs into PCSE Online and submits their Performers List change, PCSE assign the case to a Performers List case officer. For partner GPs, an email is sent to the practice to advise them to approve or reject the change, and it enters the practice's queue on PCSE Online. It also enters the ICB's queue at this point, but it will be greyed out so the ICB cannot review the change. This is only to make the ICB aware that a performer has submitted a change at the said practice. If the practice approves a change, an email is sent to the ICB to advise them to approve or reject the change, and the ICB can then review the change on their queue. Once all the approvals have been received, PCSE requests the prescriber number for joining cases, and for leaving cases, they request pool list codes if required. Once all the required information has been received, the case is then processed by the performers list team and is then passed on to the pensions team to complete the pension adjustments. And that's the performers list process.
Thanks for that, Maria.
No problem.
We did also want to touch on future effective dates because we are aware that some GPs do like to apply in advance. Now, it may be that the approval comes through to yourself at the ICB and you can approve it from your side, but we just wanted to let you know that we won't actually be able to action the request until the data has come through. Is that right, Maria? We can't action an approval until it's actually come to that date that they're willing to do the change?
Yep, that's true.
Fantastic. Thank you. I know we do get that question quite a lot, don't we? So I just wanted to let people know that we can't action anything from our side until that date's arrived.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So I shall move on. So we're going to start with user management in PCSE Online. Now, again, it is just a high-level overview, and one of the main reasons why we wanted to discuss this with you today is just based on the pilots that we did with some ICBs. They just wanted, some of the things weren't clear, so we're just going to run through that with you now. So for a performer list, you're going to need a PL Authority admin user. Now, everybody at the ICB is not going to have this role. You only need a couple of people to have this, but these are the people that can create new users, deactivate existing users, and amend any people that are already on PCSE Online. Now, with this role, they can't do any other tasks other than assign and edit roles in PCSE Online. If you've only got one PL Authority admin user, it would be wise to get another one. Reason being, if that person's off sick or if they're on annual leave for 2 weeks, you won't have anybody that's able to assign roles, which is obviously really important when you've got tasks coming in from into your queues. So if you've got somebody that needs to perform tasks and accept changes in PCSE Online, you're going to need PL approver a contract com role. So COM just stands for commissioner, because obviously this is for the ICB only. Now, what can you do with this role? You can accept 24-hour retirements, accept change of practice for principals, accept change of salary to principal and vice versa. So if a principal's changed to a salaried, and you can accept withdrawals. So if anybody wants to resign from the performer list or retire, and again, you can reject any of those changes as well. Now, as I just discussed, to get that role, it will need to be the PL Authority admin user that assigns that out to you. If you don't have that role, you're not going to be able to see any of those requests come through. So how do you create a new user in PCSE Online? So you'll just simply log into your PCSE Online account and you'll see on the top banner there, it says user management. So if you click into that tab, you'll then have the option to create a new user. So I'll click create new user. And then you'll be able to see that all the blue boxes are where you will input all the data needed to include your user. So it's simple details like the first name, surname, email address, telephone number, etc. Now, at the bottom, you'll also see where it says organisation code. Once you put your organisation code into that box, it will give you a list of roles that are available to that user. So just to let you know, once you do click create new user, you will actually get a pop-up box asking for a GMC number, but that's simply for a performer registration. So just click no at that point because you're not adding a performer, it's somebody at your organisation that needs to approve these requests. So just moving on. So once you type in the organisation code, you will get a list of roles as shown here. Now for performer list, if that agent is only going to be approving performer list management cases, they are only going to need the PL approver contract com role. You do not need to add any other roles that are on there. We have had some ICBs in the past that think it's a good idea just to give everybody the roles that they need, but that really isn't the case. They shouldn't really be seeing work that's not tasks for them. And also, if you just limit to them and give them the roles that they need for that task, it's going to clear up the queues and it's going to make it easier for them when they come to do their work. So please just ensure that you only grant the suitable permissions for that role. So you might also need to edit an existing user. So again, just log into your PCSE online account, click user management, and then you've got two options at this point. So you can either search for that user by including the username, surname or forename. As you can see in the bottom left-hand corner where it says search for user, just pop the details in there, then click apply. Or you also have the option to view everybody that's linked to your organisation. And to do that, as you can see in the bottom, it says my organisation only. Give that box a tick and then click apply, and that will give you a list of all the users that are assigned to your organisation. Now, this will also show people that are deactivated or their accounts expired. So it is going to be quite a long list, but it's also good just especially for the PL Authority admin users, just to keep track of who's actually still assigned to your organisation. So if you want to edit a user, so I've just used my details here for the demonstration purposes. So once you've put the name in there and clicked apply, as you can see, that's brought up my details for PCSE Online. It shows my name, first name, surname, shows me when I've last logged in, have I had any bad password counts, and it also tells me whether my account's deactivated or whether my account's expired. If you look in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see where it says edit user. So edit user, you just click that button, and then that will give you the option to edit any details on there. Now, any details that are in blue mean that you can edit at this point. Anything that's in grey, you can't. So the requested email will be the PL Authority admin user that's requesting to change that user. So at this point, change any details that you need. So somebody may have got married and they may need to change their name, or they've got an updated telephone number, etc. This is where you will do that. And also it will give you a list of all the roles that they're currently assigned to. So let's say that this performer that this admin user that we're looking at only works on performer list management cases. So as you can see, they've been assigned lots of roles here, because you can see the blue ticks in the box. If they're only doing the performance management work, then you will probably see that they've got too many roles assigned to them. So this is where you can remove roles and add the required roles. Once you've ticked each box that you want to add or remove, you simply click update and that will update that user. So I'm going to move on to deactivating users in PCSE Online. We can't stress how important it is that you keep on top of deactivating your users, especially if they leave the organisation. As you're aware, PCSE Online is a public platform to use, so anybody can sign into PCSE Online, whether it be on a mobile, a tablet or the computer at home. They're not on a VPN secure network to access it, so it's super important just to keep on top of, if anybody leaves, just make sure that you deactivate them. There's a lot of sensitive information on there, and obviously it runs a risk of there being a security risk if people are able to go in and accept cases and things. So please make sure that you keep on top of deactivating your users if necessary. Now, I suppose that also goes as well if someone's not going to be using PCSE Online for some time. So if you've got somebody that's on long-term sick or somebody that may have gone on maternity, it might be wise just for you to deactivate that role until they're ready to return to work. And also you find a lot of people do move around in the NHS, and we do see that quite a lot. And obviously they'll use their NHS email address to sign into PCSE Online. So you might have one user that's linked to your organisation currently, but then they're going to work at another organisation. Again, deactivate that user from your organisation. So once they start the new role at the new organisation, they can only see the list of work that's dedicated to that organisation. So I will quickly show you how to deactivate a user. It's really simple, but again, you just log into your PCSE Online account, click the user management tab, and then click deactivate user, and then that will give you the option to search for the user that you wish to deactivate. Once you click deactivate user, it will ask you to confirm that that's the user that you wish to deactivate. Click OK, and that's done. Nice and easy, and you're able to deactivate that user. Now, sometimes you might find that you've deactivated a user by mistake and you need to reactivate them, or you've got somebody that's returning to work and you need to give them the roles back and deactivate the account. Again, it's really simple. All you need to do is follow the steps that I mentioned about how to edit a user. So you'll search for that user and just reactivate the roles that they need. Okay, so that's the end part of me talking through user management on PCSE Online. I did see from the poll a lot of people do already understand it. Quite a few people was in the middle. So I hope the demonstration that I've just provided has helped you understand it a little bit more. But Kat is going to pop in another live poll. So I'd be really grateful if you could just pop an answer there for us. So I'm now just going to run through the approvals in PCSE Online. So this will be for anybody that actively works the Perform List queue. What you will need to do that is the PL Approver Contract Com role, which I discussed earlier. If you have only got the PL Authority Admin User role, you're not going to be able to do any approvals in PCSE Online. You won't be able to see them and you won't be able to activate them. What you'll need to do is assign yourself the PL Approver Contract Com role in order to work those cases. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of a demonstration on how to do this. I appreciate there's probably a lot of people that are doing this now. We just want to run through it as a basic level, just from the feedback that we got from the other ICBs that we've recently worked with. So you'll just log into your PCSE Online account and visit the Perform List the Perform List tab at the bottom. And then that will bring up all the Perform List management employment changes that have come through to your organisation. And as you can see, it displays various details on there. So it has the reference number, which is a CAS number. The CAS number is the reference number that you'll need to use if you ever need to contact us at PCSE Online for support. If you've got any escalations or anything along any escalations, use that reference number because that's how we'll be able to identify the case. It will also have the performer name on there, the GMC number, ODS number, and the proposed change, along with the start date and level of commitment. Now, you'll be able to see at the bottom, you've got an arrow here. So if you click that, that will move along and show further details that are related to that task. Now, as discussed earlier, these approvals do need to go through to the practice first for them to approve. So I'll give you the practice status and the commissioner status, as you can see here. So these ones that we're showing in this example have been approved by the practice, but they're just waiting for your approval at the ICB. Now, at this point, you will need to assign the case out to somebody that's going to be actioning that on your behalf. And then you'll just click the blue box and that'll give you a drop down and it will list all the users that are available to action that case. In this example, you'll see that it says COM approver, but that's just because we don't action these at an ICB level. It is just for demonstration purposes only. Once you've assigned it to the correct user and want to view the action that the GP is requesting, click Review Practice Change, and then that will give you the proposed change that's been sent through to the ICB. So again, it's got all the details on there, such as performer name, GMC number, and the practice that the GP wants to work at, along with the role and all the other details that are on there, so the start date, etc. And then you'll also see at the bottom, it provides a list of all the GPs that are currently linked to that practice. And then once you've done all the work that you need to do at the back office, you'll either accept the change or click reject. And once that's done, you'll just get a notification at the top to show that the action's been updated. And that really is as simple as it is, to be honest. Now, if you do have any questions on that, please do pop them in the chat. We've got Julie and Maria that are experts in performance management changes. So we will try and answer what we can. But yeah, so that's all from me. I am going to hand you over to Vanessa, that's going to run through some bits and pieces with you on some work that we're doing at the moment. So yeah, are you still online, V?
I am, hi.
Thank you.
So the first thing I'm going to do, morning guys, sorry, first of all, and I'm sure I've probably spoken to some of you in the past. The first thing I want to do is run through this slide, but I've seen a couple of questions pop up, so I'm also going to go through a little bit on PCSE Online and where you can find additional information, and then I'll talk to you about our changes. So this slide that we're showing you, this is what a good ICB would look like. And when we say good, what we mean is an ICB that's got every role that they need to be able to work with PCSE Online and work with us at PCSE. So this green building is representing the ICB, and all the roles in darker blue are the user administrator roles, the roles that Deb just talked about that can create users, that can amend users, and can deactivate users. So for the purpose of this session, we're looking mainly here at PL. So performer list, authority user admin. Now, here you've got the only role that you need to be able to approve performer management changes at an ICB is the PL approver contract com role. Now, the com stands for commissioner, as I know Maury has replied. It's just another name for the ICBs, and it was a change that was made when we moved from CCGs over to ICBs. We were asked, as part of those requirements that we received, to change all the role names. And that role allows you to approve and view all the performer management changes. So the entire process that Deb's just gone through, that is the only role that you need to be able to approve that. Now, we know there's lots of other PL roles in there. Actually, an ICB level, you don't need any of the other PL roles. And there is a change that we're looking at to try and either distinguish those roles and make them clear that they're not necessarily the ICB, they're not necessary for you to complete any work, or to remove them fully so that they're only available at the region. But for the purpose of this meeting, these are the two roles. So this role is needed to be able to provide these roles out. And this role is the role that can action. So if anyone's already got this role and is wondering why they can't approve, it's because you haven't given yourself this role as well. So if you're a PL authority administrator, the only thing you can do is create users or amend their access. In order to approve changes, you've also got to be a PL approver contract. And I'm just going to quickly run through them because I know that somebody asked a question about somebody leaving at a practice. So the rest of the roles are finance roles. We've got PCN, and we've just done a lot of work on the PCNs. Anyone who is involved in that will know that it's been quite arduous, and when user management goes wrong, it can go really wrong. But the ICB roles for the PCN now are all sorted out, and everyone who needs the role has got one. And we've also set up the users in the PCNs. And then GPP. So this is GP payments and pensions. So these are various roles that you need throughout that. So decom approving, non-delegated, data entry, etc., etc. So you can read through this yourself. So somebody asked a question in terms of can somebody leave a practice? So the performer management changes are necessary in order for somebody to do a pension joiner, and it needs to show on the performer's record as current in order for them to do a joiner. However, if the performer leaves, the practice can process a leaver at any point that they want to process a leaver. Because obviously the performer could leave a pension whenever they wanted to, even if they were still employed by the practice. So if the performer's left but not put the performer management change through, the practice can still process the leaver for that. So that slide, this slide deck will come out to you, won't it, Deb?
Yeah, we can get that sent out if you want. Yeah, not a problem.
So this slide, so this will be available to you. But I'm just going to take over sharing because I just wanted to show you, because I've seen a few questions come up from about PCSE Online and where can we get information about the role. So I just wanted to quickly show you, and then I'm going to go on to the improvements that we've made. So Deb, can you just confirm you can see my PCSE Online England page?
Yep, I can see that. That's fine.
Thank you. So PCSE Online is quite easy to navigate if you know how. And we found that when we've done these webinars before that some people go in and do the search, and we get that because it's a big box in the corner, isn't it, saying search. However, the best way to navigate is simply to go to services. Everything is about 3 clicks away in PCSE Online. So if you started off looking at services, let's say you wanted information on GP pensions. In fact, I'm going to do performers list because we're doing that. So you go into performers list, then you'd select who you were. So for the purpose of this, I'm going to say commissioners. And then you can see all the information there, how to do it. So 3 clicks away in PCSE Online. Whereas if you searched it, it does tend to bring back quite a lot of results that aren't necessarily relevant to what you needed. For user management, we've got a full section here that talks about user management. So if you click into that, and then it goes through every different service that we have, performer management and all the roles that you need, how to contact us if you're having difficulty. And I can see that a few of you had a difficulty. I think some people said they were putting in a username and it was saying invalid. usually if we get that invalid message, it does mean they have an account. Even though you might not be able to see the account, they might have already set one up and it's been deactivated. So you'll need to contact us and we'll be able to find that account for you, because a deactivated account won't necessarily show up in your search. Supplies and records, performance list service generally. And then down here is all the things that you'd need. So this particular one, if you click into that, it'll open it up online. And as you click through, it will eventually, it tells you how to do everything that Deb's just shown you. And then will also then tell you about the different roles you need. So you could click down here on commissioner and it will go through all the different roles. And as you highlight the roles, it will tell you all about them at the bottom. You can see it's changing down at the bottom. So it will tell you all about the different roles and what you need to do. So I'll drop that link into the chat for everyone now so that you can get to user management. So I'll drop the link to the actual section. But as I said, just to reiterate again, it's all on your home page. I know a lot of people save the login page in their as their favourites, which I totally understand. I do the same. But then sometimes, because it's not up there, doesn't show user management on the login page. So you've got to click home and then you'll see the user management section there when you're at home. From the login page, obviously you can get to services, but it'll still take you back to that front page anyway. So the next part I'm going to go through is just some of the improvements that we've done. So I'm going to share again, but go on to a different screen. So Deb, can you just confirm for me again that you can see my slide deck?
Yep.
Thank you.
Good.
So as Deb introduced me, I'm a business analyst and I've been doing some improvements for PL. So this means looking at the work that we've currently got outstanding to understand if there's any issues with the work or anything that we need to do to help it, and to take away burden from the practice, take away burden from the ICBs, and make the work move more efficiently for performers as well. Because as Maria went through, we know that there's a dependency on performance lists for the pension to be correct, so the pension to be joined correctly at the practice. And sometimes that dependency has to go all the way up to ICB, if it's a principal GP, for you guys at the ICB to approve it before their status will change to current. And without a current status, they can then get the pension sorted out. So performance list went live in 2019. So the actual service to make performance management changes went live, I think, early 2020, but performance list went live in December 2019. As soon as performance list went live, we issued communications to all performers to say, check your record in your PCSE online account. Here's your access. If your record's incorrect, submit a performance management change to us. And what happened was that PL received, I think, over 5,000 changes within the first week. And that was due to the fact that the dates didn't exactly match. However, what we didn't say to performers is the date doesn't have to exactly match. There was an issue with NHS that you couldn't always get the exact date on there, but it didn't matter from the performers list perspective and certainly from the practice perspective. So we got lots and lots of performers sending us lots of cases saying, I actually started on this date, and the detail were the same. So the practice name would have been the same. The detail would have been the same, but the date was slightly different. If that was a principal performer, that would have also gone up to the ICB. So some of the work we've done is to look at some of those cases. Do you guys actually need to approve it? Because I'm conscious, and we all are in PL when we're doing this work, that if you've looked at that, and from a contract perspective, that work all seems in order, you're probably questioning why you have to approve it again. So we're looking through those cases and we're calling them identified duplicates, both customer and already actioned. So what this means is that was something that they submitted, but actually it's already done. They're being pensioned correctly, or they have been pensioned. They might have left that practice since. They were pensioned correctly at that practice. The dates are right at that practice. They're in current employment, or they were in current employment at that practice. There's actually nothing for the ICB to approve. When we find one of those cases, we remove the transaction. So what that means is we remove the task from the ICB's work queue, so you will see that remove. And we also close the case from the performer because there's nothing to action on the case. The record is actually already up to date. So that is identified duplicates, both customers and already actioned. Mari's done a great piece of work where she was looking at items that customers had submitted, and it was a duplicate. So duplicates happen because sometimes when we first went live, customers could click the button twice and it would automatically produce 2 cases. That defect was fixed, but then we needed to clean up the data. So Mari's done a piece of work on that and making sure they're all removed. But also sometimes customers submit a piece of work, and when it doesn't progress, they submit it again. But it's the same performance management change twice. So we just remove those cases. So we've actually gone through, Mari's done that, gone through and made sure that all those cases are removed. So closed cases and associated tasks that are held against a closed organisation. So this actually happens. Now, they won't have necessarily shown in any of your queues now, but sometimes there was a closed practice and it was never going to move on, or there was a closed PCT where a case was held at and it was never going to move. So we've closed those cases down and we've made sure that everything's in order before we've closed it down. When it's not, we contact the performer, but we've closed all those cases down where we don't need them. I'm going to move on to this one because this one needs a bit more explanation. So we've removed any tasks held against closed cases. So what's happened sometimes is a performer has escalated, sometimes to the ICB, sometimes higher than the ICB, that the change hasn't been made. And that escalation has come back to us in PCSE. We've then gone in and manually processed the change based on the information that we received and the manual approval that we've received. But we didn't remove the task from the ICB's queue. So sometimes the task was still open in the ICB's queue. So we did an exercise where we identified every closed case and every task held against that closed case. And we've closed all them tasks down to make sure that we remove them from your queue. And the last one is removed ghost tasks assigned to practices in GP surgeries. So by ghost tasks, this was a name that really Sean Asprey gave it, and the ghost name. It was tasks that didn't really relate to anything. They didn't correlate to a case, but they were still showing in your queue. So these are a task that in the past you might have tried to look at it and couldn't see anything on it, or tried to look at it and could see something, but when you've tried to hit action it, you've got an error message. We've removed all them and made sure that anything they were correlated to, it goes back to the correct case. So we've taken them all out of your work queues. So what benefit is that? So the benefit to you guys, if we remove the work from your queues, we're actively, and although we've done that now, we're still trying to tidy up your queues. So I'll talk about that on the next slide in a second. But what does all of that stuff mean? Well, to the performers, it means that the transactions in the performance management screen have disappeared. So as it says there, by removing these unnecessary work counts, we reduce burden and improve customer confidence. We reduce the burden from all you guys at the ICB by removing the work from your queue, but we improve customer confidence in the performer by them seeing that we're not just leaving the case there for 2 years untouched. Actually, we have done some work to make sure that we understand what's going on with it and we can move it on and close it for them. All these processes have been created to ensure that the above activities are carried out regularly. So we shouldn't get any more ghost tasks. That was done specifically because of a defect, but we will look for duplicates. We shouldn't get this anymore because we're closing cases properly now, and that means that we will go and close the tasks as well, but we will look for them. Same with this one, we'll always go back and we'll look and we'll carry out these things regularly. So the next steps and where we're at now and what we're working on. So as it says here, by removing the case, it allows the PL team to see their actual volume and work more accurately with the pensions team, improving the process between PL and pensions. And that's really, really important, especially now at year end, when we've got lots of performers trying to submit the Type 1 and Type 2 certificates. So we're working with those guys to make sure that we understand what the performers, what's going to be an actual problem for a performer. We're going to remove all the transactions from the performer screen that are unnecessary. And from an ICB and GP surgery, we're going to remove any task from your work queue, allowing you to see only what needs to be actioned. So by that, you will still see work that's obviously sat with the GP surgery, and we can show you how to filter that so you only see the work that's due to be actioned. But what we're going to do is remove any work that you don't need to action. So by continuing these processes and continuing to look at these things, we're removing any work that might have already been actioned previously, where the contract has already been changed. We're removing any work that is a duplicate of something else. We're removing them tasks from your queue. The next steps that we're still working through, we've worked through this with Janet Knox from where we're going to close any cases prior to June the 1st, where the pension data shows in the surgery. So what this means is where the performers submitted a performance management change to us, we want to look to close their cases where all the data is up to date. So we have got a process and we're working through that now, where we're looking at, and there's quite a lot from pre-2021. So some of your age cases you should start to see disappear. Where we don't get an exact match, we go back to NHS. So Janet will be approving all these processes. We go back to NHS and just make sure that the pension was all accurate and up to date. And then if it is, we can close the case because we know that actually that performance record's okay. So it's almost like a duplicate, but we're just making sure that that everything, all the T's are crossed and the I's dotted before we close any cases down. So work is ongoing, and we will update, and we meet with Sean and Claire Horner every week to give them an update on the work that we're doing and looking at volumes, etc. So we're making some good progress with it, and with the entire point being the performers and reducing burden in mind. So that's everything from me. Just to say that I know that some of your questions have come up, and we will be going through them. Debbie, are we responding to the questions outside of this as well? We're going to export the questions. You're on mute, Deb.
Schoolgirl over there. Yeah, so obviously we have had a lot of questions in the chat, and I know Julia and Maria have said that we have got to take some away. What I'll do, I'm aiming to send up a follow-up email this week. In the email, it will have a link to the webinar. So if you need to view it again, or if you need to share with anybody that needs to view the webinar, then that's fine. Please feel free to send them the link. We'll also try and get as many of the questions answered, and I will include those in the follow-up email as well, along with an opportunity for you to provide feedback. So if there's anything that you thought went well with the session, or something that you would like included in the next session, we are looking at potentially running some more workshops that will be potentially a little bit different to how we've done it today. With this being the first session, we really just wanted to focus on the basics. So this is who we are, this is user management, this is what you see in PCSE online. Now, we do understand that, you know, a lot of areas have different issues, and, you know, some people understand things better than others, some people are more experienced with PCSE online. So any feedback that you can give us would be fantastic, because we can then tailor make the sessions for you. But yeah, so like I say, I will aim to get that to you by the end of the week. But please do read it, and please do give us feedback. So we do have a little bit of time left. So I'm not sure if there's any questions in the chat. If Julia or Maria want to run through anything, if there's any common questions that have come through, or UV.
Sorry, I'm really sorry. I've just noticed that Yvonne's raised a question, and I just wanted to respond to that question because it's something that we've recently found. So Yvonne, I can see that a few of you have said now you're getting a blank screen when you go into
can I just interrupt? It's been fixed. I think Ian
Brilliant.
Ian did something, didn't you? So I can now see it. So thank you very much. Can you tell her, was it to do with the link that
Assigning that role?
It was assigning the role. That was the issue.
That's exactly what the problem is. We've had an issue with the roles, and we're working through it now with our IT, but you will have had the wrong role taken away from you. So anyone like that is being fixed today. So we've got 50 people that we've identified on a list that you're all going to have the roles given back to you today. So I just wanted to jump in and say if anyone's got any issues like that, where you're getting a blank screen when you go into your performer management thing, we'll have it fixed for you today.
Right, and it is fixed. So thank you ever so much. That's brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks, Fee, that's great. So because we do have a little bit of time left, not sure if anybody's got any questions for the guys while they're on. Not sure if we're going to answer all the questions that come through, but like I say, I will ensure that we get most of those questions answered for you by the end of the week. Wendy, you've got your hand up. Have you got a question for us?
Yeah, very simple one. Sorry, I have put it in the chat as well. What would be ideal is if we could see a list of all of the practices and who you've got as performers against them, then we can do some cross references, because as far as I'm aware, I can only see which performers are against a practice when it comes to me to actually approve. When it's in the practice state, we can't see the detail. So it'd be really helpful for us to have a good old housekeeping session and make sure our records match yours, but I can't find out how to get that list.
Hey, is that something that's already available in the system?
It's not, no. The assignments are only available on PCSE Online. So it's not available through, in CRM, which is, so CRM is our system that sits behind PCSE Online and pulls forward into PCSE Online. So it's not available. Let me look into it. I'm not sure. It's certainly something we could provide, but it'd only be relevant. I'm sorry that my cat's decided to come and join me. That would only be relevant for a period in time, so snapshot in time. But let's speak to Sean about it. Because if you wanted us to get that, we could, but it's only as good as the day you produce it. If we got it from the CRM, because obviously changes happen frequently and people can move about quite a lot. And as far as I'm aware, there's no way to do it in PCSE Online, but I do understand fully what you're saying.
Yeah.
And it could be. So let's speak to Sean, because it could be that we say that from an audit perspective, ICBs want to audit, so maybe once a quarter, we're doing this to allow them to audit. So let's float that idea with Sean and see what he thinks.
Thank you. And then that would be wonderful if that could happen, because we found we're trying to tidy up every change that we now get, but it's going, it'd be much easier if we could see everybody to try and have a bit of a tidy up, because we know when people have left and they just haven't.
Yeah.
And
I get that.
The other thing is the changes that when there's as I say, a change in our queue that's waiting for practice approval, we can't see the detail of it. So we've got no idea whether it's a leaver or it's a joiner, because all you've got is the change practice. We don't know exactly what's happening. You don't get that bottom bit that.
No, I get that. Yeah.
And it would be really helpful if we could see that at that stage as well, because then we can make sure we've tidied up our contract variation paperwork as well.
So I've actually managed to produce an advanced find that I'm going to go through with Claire and Sean this Friday, that shows what's with the ICBs ready now and what's with the ICBs but still waiting organisation approval. So if we can, we'll work through that. So I always go through your full task lists that are in there, so they know how many you've got either with you or outstanding. I found a way to break it down now that shows what's already with you and what's with the organisation. That also gives a subject line within it, so it'll tell you whether it's a change of commitment, which we're not doing now, but a gain in practice, a leave in practice, or salary to principal. So let me speak to Sean about that as well. If we wanted to produce it every week and send it on to the NHS, we'd have to put it through formal, as in this is MI that the NHS want, and so we'd have to put it through formal. But for now, I'm passing it on to him anyway, so every week. So we'll bring that up as well.
Thank you.
Deb, you're on mute again. That day, I'm telling you, it's Tuesday.
I know, it's the worst days of the week, aren't they? They really are. So we've got Susan. You've got your hand up. Do you have a question for us?
Yes, I do. Thanks, Debbie. I work for Greater Manchester NHS Commissioning, and I've got 10 CCGs, as they were, to approve. What would be really helpful for us would be to have a direct contact within PCSE, because we keep getting asked questions about the performance list. Why has this not happened? Why has that not happened? And we can't give them an answer. They've got to go through the help email address, which sometimes takes a long time to come back. So it would be helpful if we could maybe intercept that query and give them an answer from yourself. Would that, rather than emailing, I don't know.
So that Maria and Julie, that'd be one over to you for PL.
Yeah.
So the queries shouldn't be taking that long. So the PL queries, they're now in a good position. So they're around day 5, day 6. So I would recommend you use the normal PL queries queue. I can put that in the chat. We do have an escalation of PL managers, which we aim to respond to in 24 hours, 2 days. And again, we're working to that at present as well. The PL managers is really more for escalations where you've not, you're having to chase and you're not getting a response, or whether there's, it's quite impacting to the performer, whether it's financial, it's impacting how them being able to work for, etc. So the PL managers is an escalation route, but I would always recommend the first sort of PL queries route, again, just because we're in a good position. So anything around 5 days, you should get a response back, and use that PL manager's email if you think you're not getting the responses that you need. If there's anything drastic, then more than happy for you to come to me.
All right, thanks, Sharon.
Thanks, Sharon. I can also include the escalation process, the new escalation process that we've got in place in the comms that I send out after the call. So I'll pop that in there as well, and it has the full instructions on what you need to do to escalate a case with us.
Thanks, Debbie.
Brilliant. Thanks, Debbie.
Thank you.
Can you include, sorry, Deb, can you include the generic performers list query queue?
Yeah, absolutely, will do.
Great, thank you.
Lovely, thank you. And we've got someone else with their hand up. Jennifer, do you have a question for us?
Hello, yes. So we have a practice who incorporated in July, which means they don't have partners anymore. They only have directors. And we're having an issue with the portal reflecting the correct thing for the banking team to change the bank address. The two aren't talking to each other. So the banking team thinks they're still performers on, but they're not performers, they're directors. So it's how does an incorporated company work with the PCSE portal?
Is that one for you, V? Are you able to pick that one up, or Maria?
I can have a look, but I'm not too sure if I'm honest. But I'm going to take that away because I'm not sure at all.
Thank you. I was going to say we have an issue where they obviously incorporate in July, and the bank account is getting refused to be changed, which means there's massive governance issues because ex-partners are getting paid incorrectly. So we kind of need it resolved ASAP, but I don't know how we can resolve it. I'm kind of at a dead end with both situations.
Sharon, obviously I jumped in there. I don't know whether you had anything. I saw your camera come on. Sorry.
No, same really. I think we've come across this before, but it's not really PL issue. Do you want to send the details across to me and let myself and V look into it and see whether we can link in with the pensions or payments team, whichever team we need to. I don't think we have an agreed process, but because they're not performers, I don't think it's our area. But between me and V, we'll look into it and come back to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Sharon. And we've got Christine. Do you have a question for us?
Yeah, I did put it in the chat, but I've been emailing. I've sent quite a few emails to pcse.performerslistonline@nhs.net. I'm not getting any response at all, back from January. And previously I'd emailed that address and not got responses to other queries. So is there am I sending them to the wrong place?
I think that's the right email address, isn't it, Sharon, for the inquiries? PCSE online.
I thought it was just pcsc.performerlist.
I've got, pcsc.performerslistonline@nhs.net. Is it possible just to pop that into the chat, what the correct email address is then, and in case I'm sending it off somewhere random?
I've just put it in there.
Great, thank you.
I think that's the normal queries queue. But again, Debbie will send through the escalation process. So, don't suffer in silence if you're not getting a response. Use the PR manager's email as a routine, if you're not getting any response. But let me look into that, Christine, about the PCSE online, performance list online. Email them, just where's that going and, what's happening with it. I'll do a bit of digging on that.
Yeah, thank you.
Lovely. Thanks, Sharon. Like I say, all contact details will be included in the follow-up email that I send later on in the week. But yeah, I think that is going to be the end of today's webinar. Like I say, we are looking at running some more tailored workshops depending on the feedback that you do give us from today's session. Really do hope that you find it's been useful. We really are hoping to build relationships with you all in order for us all to action the approvals that come through from GPs. Yeah, unless anybody's got anything else, I'm happy to let you go. What I'll do, I'll leave the meeting open for 5 minutes or so. I will turn my camera off, but I'll leave it open just so you can discuss whatever you need to in the chat. If there's any questions that still need answering, just so you've still got access to that, because I'm conscious that it might disappear once the call has ended. But like I said, majority of the questions that have been answered, or the ones that we haven't even been able to answer, we'll try and get an answer for you, and I will send that in a follow-up email. But other than that, I'd just like to thank you all for taking the time out to join us today and join the webinar. And yeah, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much. And thanks for the support from the PCSE colleagues as well. You've been great.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.